about exhibitionism. So I noticed that you love people to see into your life, and I'm naturally a bit of a private person. I find it interesting. Do you get how do you experience? What gives you pleasure about that? Is it the communication with people, or is it?
I think part of it, if you ask me that 10 different times, I'd give you 10 different answers. But right now what pops up in my head is that to really love someone, you have to understand them, and understanding is loving. And I know I may push certain elements that are more shocking, like polygamy and private. But what I really like to do, like what I'm really passionate about, is sharing with people what problems I'm facing, and then how I'm overcoming those problems, and learning together with my audience. And also I get a lot of feedback from the audience, like a lot. Like if I'm saying, oh, I'm having trouble sleeping, and here's what I'm taking, I'll have a lot of really intelligent audience members message me and say, hey, try this, or hey, I'm working, I'm researching this, you should try this, or this is my experience with that. And so I get to learn a lot from credible people. And back to the forums, the problem is you have some people that are trying very hard to give an accurate information. You have other people that are giving intentional misinformation, and you have other people who are just feeding their egos. Mm-hmm. But I found that with my fan base, my friends of freedom, like we are really helping each other, and they're very credible, and there's no malintent. We're able to just learn so much. It's really a community. And unfortunately, my community is kind of spread out all over the place, trying to find a new home because of censorship. But just even across messengers. So if I post something on Instagram story and I'm working through an issue, I will get feedback about that issue in real time that I can then experiment with the next day. And it also helps me feel a sense of community. Actually, another one of the main motivations for it was, I think that we're all a little bit weird, and we're all trying to fit in, and I don't like that. I want us all to express what's different about our individuality. And if I can share, because forget the video, let's say just with friends, I'm telling friends like, hey, I've had chlamydia 4 times, an STD, right? And at first people look at me like, oh my God, that's disgusting. Then they'll say, wait a second, I've had chlamydia before too. And I like push it back and hide it from everybody. I'm like, no, let's talk about it. Or, hey, I've got this weird fetish. Or, hey, my girlfriend has this fetish. She wants me to pee on her. So I just try to talk about all the things that are normally hidden by our modern synthetic culture and start finding common ground. And it's kind of like what's happening right now with the current pandemic situation, which is the government and the media is trying to make us think that we're all okay, and with the whole situation, and shame us into giving up our freedoms for the greater good of health. But if you actually put all the individuals in a room together, most individuals are going to choose freedom over the misinformation and control. But people don't know that because they're not able to share that with each other. So I figured if I can share the weird things about my life, other people would be more comfortable sharing the weird things. We'd find things that we had in common. We'd have less suicide, because I see a lot of suicide in men is because they feel like they're weird. They're not understood. They feel like, they're an outcast, when really they're just like us. They just are subscribing to this false society that's telling them they should be something else.
Yeah, loneliness is one of the most dangerous. People that are lonely have cardiovascular health outcomes just from that. And it's really admirable creating this kind of community where it's open. And this is one of the things I like about Big Lenny, who I know you've talked to before as well. I brought him on the show 2 weeks ago. He's a good friend of mine. Big Lenny, he calls it cookie cutters. He doesn't want people to just fit into society. And even that sounds like a little bit of an infantile thing at first, but when you think about it, it's not. He's very deep, and what he's saying is really motivational for those kind of people that may feel like outcasts, may feel that they're alone, may feel that they have to hide parts of themselves to fit into some really actually artificial community.